With trade deadline looming just around the corner, a lot of teams are now healthy scratching their big name players that are expected to be traded. And the Leafs have now announced that they have healthy scratched an interesting player ahead of their upcoming game. Could Justin Holl be traded, or is this just a kick in the pants to let him know, hey, you got to be better? What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We are going to break this down, opinions on what we think this means for Justin Holl, if the Leafs actually are going to trade him ahead of the deadline, or if this might just be one of those moves to say, hey, you're a 31-year-old veteran guy, you didn't play that well the last game, let's get it going. But before we get into all of that, if you have not subscribed yet to this Leafs Digest channel, please make sure to do so. You can also drop a like on this video if you enjoy the content, but we are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by playoff time, so every subscriber counts. And if you have not hit that button yet, please make sure to do so. It takes a couple seconds to do. You can do it even while you're watching this video. Any and all support on this channel is greatly appreciated. But let's get into the news from today. Mark Masters tweeting out from Leafs camp the new lineup that they're looking at ahead of the game tomorrow night against the Chicago Blackhawks, which includes Justin Holl moving down to the 7-8 pair with Jordy Ben. This means Riley, Brody, Giordano, Liljegren, Sandin, and Timmins all get the tap ahead of him. And of course, as trade deadline approaches, there's going to be a lot of speculation on which Leafs leave this team, which Leafs are going to be trade chips. Justin Holl, Alex Kerfoot, Pierre Engvall, these are all guys in Leafs fans' minds who we feel like should be moved on from this team. And I'm going to be the first person to admit here, I mean, honestly, I'm not a fan of Justin Holl. I don't like him. I don't think he should be in the lineup. That's my personal opinion. But this Leafs coaching staff, the management, they do seem to like him. That's why they've had him in the lineup every night for this season, despite how people may feel about him. They see something and they want to keep him in here. So let's just discuss a little bit about the idea of trading Justin Holl. Well, first and foremost, he is 31 years old. He's on a $2 million AAV, and he's a UFA at the end of this season. So in all honesty, they're probably going to lose him to free agency, and whether you like him or not, lose him to free agency is the best way to describe that. He's probably going to move on because he'd be looking for about the same, maybe more, on his next contract. The Leafs did just re-sign Connor Timmins to a 2-year, $1.1 million deal, very similar or close to AAV in terms of what Sandin and Liljegren just got. So this Connor Timmins deal, they obviously expect him to be a piece, a guy who could be playing here in coming years. For me, looking at Connor Timmins, I like him. I like the acquisition. I like the fact that they basically gave up nothing to get him. I think that was a good trade. You go and acquire a player from a struggling team who's dealt with some injuries. You bring him into your system where you've got a lot of opportunity for top-notch medical assistance, whether it be from trainers, sports science team, or just overall the therapy group and the people who the athletic department that actually works on getting players back to health. You've got a lot of support from those guys, as well as the fact that it's top-notch facilities, a top area to play, close to home, and you're on a much better team. He's obviously going to have a lot better of an opportunity to succeed here in Toronto. And as soon as he got here, he started to do that. He showed us his offensive game that he has. There's obviously pieces that would need to be worked on, but in terms of defense. But that being said, when you look at Connor Timmins, you look at kind of how they've used him, the most likely situation or scenario here is that Connor Timmins would be the natural replacement for Justin Holl. So this is where the does Justin Holl get traded conversation comes in. I obviously would like to see Justin Holl be moved. I don't think that he is the best possible player we could put in that sixth defenseman position. We've seen him get burned a bunch of times. We've seen it a lot in previous years where he becomes the standout guy of that was the reason that this play happened and that was the reason that we lost here. You can even remember back, as Jonas Siegel pointed out in his article in The Athletic today, that last year, Justin Holl was scratched in games 1 and 2 of the Leafs' first-round series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He didn't play that well in that series. He wasn't necessarily the reason for losing, but they obviously felt like they were in a better position without him. Then they probably got a little bit concerned about the maturity and experience level of a guy like Timothy Liljegren, so they swapped him in, played him alongside Giordano, and that's where it went from there. For me, I don't think that this is a move to healthy scratch him because they're going to trade him for numerous reasons. First and foremost, I highly doubt that the team that's acquiring Justin Holl is a team that is going to be in any type of contention. A team that's looking for a player to join their lineup and play right now. Whoever that team is that's acquiring Justin Holl is well aware he's a UFA. They're probably prepared to lose him in the offseason or let him walk to free agency. They would just be taking him on as part of the trade package coming back the other way because the Leafs have said basically we would need to move on from this. So all in all, what I'm getting to from that standpoint from this news is just I don't think he's being healthy scratched to preserve his health to go to a team in a trade here. Now, that team that's acquiring him, they probably would be okay if he came to their team injured, if he couldn't play the rest of the way, because more than likely, whoever that team is that's acquiring him is looking to tank out the rest of the season and improve their odds to get Connor Bedard. So I don't really think that this specific move is why Justin Holl is scratched. What I do think it is, and it's supported by some of Sheldon Keefe's comments, is more so in terms of his play recently. He was heavily leaned upon during that period of time when Giordano and him had to be the top pair. They were leaned on the entire time. They had to face the toughest matchups. This is while Riley, Brody, Muzzin, these guys were all out. So basically you were relying on Holl and Giordano to take on the toughest minutes in those situations. And he did, and he actually played pretty well. I think he played pretty well systematically. Now all of a sudden you're seeing him drop back down, and he's coming back to earth in terms of what Justin Holl normally is. And it was very evident in the game against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday night, in which he was on the ice for 3 of 4 goals against. And during that time, those 3 goals were actually directly related to him. You look at the first goal, loses a net front battle to Boone Jenner, who grabs a rebound and scores in the hash marks. The second goal, he misses the rebound, loses his man, does a flyby, and the guy that he was supposed to pick up scores the second goal for Columbus. And then the ultimate game-winning goal that ended up costing the Leafs the game. He loses positioning to Kent Johnson in front of the net. Kent Johnson ultimately ends up being able to tip the puck in, and you lose that game. He was directly correlated to all 3 goals that he was on the ice for, and the main reason that those goals were scored. This is coming off a stretch where he hasn't been so great. He struggled with positioning, with net front battles, and we all know that he doesn't really have an offensive side to his game. So far this season for Justin Holl, he's accumulated 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 points, 41 shots, 101 hits. But for me, when I look at that hit number, that's more correlated to the fact that he's on the ice as much as he is during those games than it is for him actually hitting. If you are a defenseman and you are going to go into corners, you are going to pick up hits here and there. How many times do we look at a game and sit there and say, wow, Mitch Marner really hit a lot of guys tonight, but then you look at the stats after and he's at 5 or 6 hits on the game. If you go into corners, you're engaged in battles, you're going to tally up a few hits, and I think that for Justin Holl in this situation, that's where it is. Ultimately, he's not a physical player. He's not very fast. He's not great with the puck, and he loses a lot of battles, and he's starting to get really exposed for that over the last few games. So for me, I think this is more of a kick in the pants. Now, I do want to preface this by saying this doesn't mean Justin Holl's not getting traded. He is a UFA. He is $2 million AAV. And ultimately, for me, I don't think Justin Holl deserves to be in this lineup come playoff time. I don't think that they fully trust him to be in there. I don't think that they fully look at him and say, this is a guy we need in there. And I think if you can find an area for improvement, you take it. I think that that's why Connor Timmins is in the lineup here tonight. They did re-sign him. And so far through this season, he is 24 years old, 6'2", 185 pounds, so a little bit smaller than Justin Holl. Same weight, though, at 2 inches shorter. And in 18 games played, he's got 1 goal, 11 assists for 12 points, 1 more point than Justin Holl. He's needs some improvement on his defensive game, but that can come. And that comes with maturity and experience and learning. That's what you have down the stretch here as you approach the playoffs. You can see if you have a guy who actually could play for you. And if not, maybe you look to improve on Connor Timmins and you can move on from a guy like Justin Holl. Now, in all of this, Sheldon Keefe did say, in regards to Justin Holl, his game at times has been tremendous and has helped us through some real tough times with injuries. But at times, his game has also slipped. And to me, the other night is one of those nights. And when you're looking to get a young guy like Timmins in, and you want to keep him going, you're looking for someone to take out, and that being Justin Holl. Justin Holl was the guy you had to take out. Sheldon Keefe goes on to say, don't give me a reason to take you out. Justin Holl, in the last game, did give them a reason to take him out. So ultimately, what I'm going to say in summary of all this, no, I don't think that this is directly related to, hey, Justin Holl trade is coming. I think that it's around the corner. He's going to be moved during the game against the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think that that's the case. What I do think here is that this could potentially lead to a trade because they are trying to see what they have in Connor Timmins. He could potentially be the internal upgrade on Justin Holl. And if he's not, then what you can do is go out and acquire a guy who is the upgrade on Justin Holl and slide Timmins down to be the 7th D. As the 7th D man, you're not expecting him to have to go in there much. You could maybe put Jordy Ben instead if you really get yourself in a pinch, and you can move on from the $2 million that Justin Holl brings along with him. So that's kind of where I go with this. I just kind of sit here and say, I don't think they are fully bought in on Justin Holl. They obviously like him. It's why he stays in the lineup so much. But at this point, they're clearly willing to send a message to a guy, and they might be in consideration here of, hey, could Connor Timmins be a better option than Justin Holl come playoff time? And what that does is it opens the door to, we can move on from Justin Holl and spend more money elsewhere and save that money we have on him. Or no, Timmins isn't going to be significantly better. Maybe he's equivalent. Maybe he's even just the same, in which case we do have to improve. But that also gives you a very clear idea of, we can move on from Justin Holl because we can find someone better than both of them and save money by keeping Timmins and moving on from Holl here. So we'll see what happens as trade deadline approaches. I appreciate everyone who follows along, continues to watch these videos. If you did enjoy the content, please like and subscribe to this channel. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know if you think this means they are going to trade Justin Holl. Let me know if you want to trade Justin Holl and what you feel might be out there. And I also am curious to hear everyone's thoughts on Connor Timmins, and if you guys feel like Timmins could be the guy to step in here and make some type of impact, especially come playoff time. But Leafs fans, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. There will be more content like this, breaking down trades, rumors, news, all that kind of stuff here on this channel, as well as post-game live streams reacting to the game with the chat, people calling in. So if you want to get in on that, make sure to subscribe so you get notified when we go live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep believing.